All right, let's get to Israel.
Straight away to breaking news regarding the Middle East, because the UK Foreign Secretary has just announced a partial suspension of export arms licenses to Israel. He made that announcement in the House of Commons in the last 20 minutes or so. A partial suspension. It covers 30 arms export licenses. We will play you the clip of David Lammy making that announcement in the Commons here in the next little while. But more pressure clearly on Israel and the Prime Minister. We've seen those comments in the last hour or so from Joe Biden saying Benjamin Netanyahu is not doing enough to actually secure that new hostage and ceasefire deal. And now the UK Foreign Secretary making this announcement. And of course, all the while today, we've had that general strike with thousands of people on the streets, adding yet more pressure on Israel's Prime Minister. Well, as I said, that announcement just made in the last little while from David Lammy. So let's hear him speaking there in the British House.
No, it's for me.
It is with regret,
Bitch, that's mine,
that I inform the House today the assessment I have received leaves me unable to conclude anything other than that for certain UK arms exports to Israel, there does exist a clear risk that they might be used to commit or facilitate a serious violation of international humanitarian law.
How long before the current post-40s colonial borders completely break down due to climate, mass migration, and instability? It's kind of already happening in the Sahel. California will be dry desert and Rust Belt will become the Great Lakes Confederacy. Isn't it better for Bibi to stay in power from an accelerationist, destabilizing Israeli society POV other than some stabilizing force like a marginally more fascistic, especially with regard to the West Bank Oxa compound general? That's insane, dude. No. Like, for the short term, I think the immediate goal for a lot of people is to facilitate a ceasefire. It has gotten to such a point where the contradictions are so glaring that even Israeli society, after 6 Jewish Israeli hostages were executed by Hamas in a fucking tunnel compound, are still mad at Benjamin Netanyahu instead. Why are they mad at Benjamin Netanyahu instead? Because 3 of those 6 hostages were named in the hostage negotiations proposal. They would have been free if Benjamin Netanyahu, at this point, 3 months in to the American plan, they'd be moving to the fucking phase 2 by now. We would have already gotten all of those hostages out at this point, and more hostages would be coming out. Except he literally fucking refused to do that. And that is precisely the reason why Israeli society is like, dog, what the fuck are you doing? Even people who personally are like, dude, keep pummeling Gaza. I don't give a fuck. But you have to save these fucking Israelis. That's the situation right now. About Bibi, the USA is for sure turning on him. Biden did this morning in a candid moment, and Harris to be determined this week, in my opinion. Yeah, I've lost all faith. I have more faith in, like, unironically, I have more faith in, like, Israeli protesters that literally want to fucking pummel Gaza in the dust than I do with the American administration. Do you understand? Because at least those people have some skin in the game. They don't give a fuck about what Israel is doing in Gaza. Many of them don't. Some of them do, but many of them don't. But regardless, they still want these material demands because they have a personal vested interest in at least the ceasefire happening. I don't give a fuck what the American government says. The American government can suck my dick, okay? Joe Biden can suck me from the back. Kamala Harris can suck my dick. I have not heard a single fucking peep from either of these pieces of shit, these genocidal fucking monsters on Israel that is even beneficial for them from an electoral perspective. So I'm fucking done with them until I see, like, actual material changes, okay? I don't give a fuck what they say behind closed doors, okay? That's it. That's it. That's straight up it. I don't care. I don't have any fucking faith in them whatsoever, goddamn ever, okay? I don't have any faith with them. No faith whatsoever. They've shown zero proof that they are actually invested in facilitating a ceasefire. They have all the fucking cards. They hold all the cards to ensure that this happens, and yet they have not moved in that direction even a little bit, okay? Well, until I see some real fucking actions, I'm not going to ever ever act like, oh, they said this behind closed doors. Oh, they said that behind closed doors. You know what they said publicly? Kamala Harris outflanked even the fucking Keir Starmer Labor government in the sentiments expressed post the retrieval of the 6 hostages that were shot and killed, okay? She outflanked the Israeli society. She outflanked even the fucking labor government. She literally did not even mention the ceasefire. You know who did mention the ceasefire? The fucking parents of the goddamn hostage that was killed, okay? By name. Not only did the parents, the hostage families, literally name Benjamin Netanyahu as the most significant person responsible for the death of their children, okay? They straight up named the policy poison pill that Benjamin Netanyahu has added onto this ceasefire proposal in an effort to continue this song and fucking dance. They are the ones who are recognizing it because they had so much more to lose than the American government, okay? So fuck Kamala Harris, fuck Joe Biden, okay? It is wild to me that you got the parents, American Israeli parents of one of the fucking hostages writing a letter, not only singling out Benjamin Netanyahu, but also singling out the exact ways in which Benjamin Netanyahu is refusing to deal by mentioning the Philadelphia corridor as a point of contention that Benjamin Netanyahu has used in an effort to continue the hostage negotiations without any sort of productive outcome. Okay? When they're doing that and the American government is outflanking them and saying, this is on Hamas only, Hamas only, Hamas only, we will end Hamas militarily, a goal that is unachievable, a goal that is so unachievable that Israeli generals have recognized that it is unachievable, okay? I don't care. They do not have a dog in this fight. They do not give a shit, and they don't even care if they fucking lose the election as a consequence of this, okay? Yeah. They have not moved an inch from unquestionable support for Israel. Saying you're against something you're fucking facilitating is criminal, but they're not even saying they're against it. That's the other part. They're never saying that they're against it. You have to listen. Meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu is digging his fucking heels in. Bibi had a press conference today that was insane. He dug in, essentially killing any illusion on a deal. He also told his generals to shut the fuck up because he's the boss. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff going on. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu's press conference. Here's the map that he showed. Of course, the West Bank does not exist on Netanyahu's map, and Gaza is forever Israeli enclave. This speech will go down in history as Netanyahu's open admission to the world that Israel will remain between the river and the sea indefinitely as long as he rules. Okay? That's what's going on. And Americans in positions of power, American leadership is going, la, 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 I can't hear you. Okay? They're fucking telegraphing this shit. The Israeli government is telegraphing this shit. Okay? They are saying it. They're screaming it from the fucking rooftops. Okay? Here, Netanyahu isn't doing enough to get a Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. My report on Axios. This is what Biden said about Netanyahu, okay, this morning. Before leaving the White House to Pittsburgh, Biden was asked by reporters to comment on Netanyahu's remarks about the Philadelphia corridor. We are still negotiating the final hostage and ceasefire deal proposal. We're not negotiating with him. I'm negotiating with my colleagues and with Egypt and Qatar, Biden said. The president's comments suggested the final bridging proposal will be presented to the parties without further U.S. consultation with Israel. It's fucking bullshit, okay? They should have done this months ago, okay? It is insane to me. One of the captive's messages to Netanyahu is my life worth less than the life of Gilad Shalit to you? Exchange deal, freedom of life. Time is running out. Yeah. So Hamas made a full statement on the execution of the hostages. We're going to read that right now. Full statement from Abu Ubaidah, the spokesman for Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, on the killing of the 6 hostages in Gaza, announced Sunday by Israel. He appears to confirm they were killed by their guards as a result of a change in policy implemented after a previous Israeli rescue operation in Nuseirat in June. Here is the statement. Netanyahu and the occupation army alone bear full responsibility for the deaths of the captives as they deliberately obstructed any prisoner exchange deals for narrow interests, in addition to intentionally killing dozens of them through direct airstrikes. We say to everyone clearly that after the Nusayrat incident, new instructions were issued to the fighters assigned to guard the captives regarding how to deal with them in the event of the occupation army approaching their detention location. Netanyahu's insistence on freeing the captives through military pressure instead of making a deal will mean their return to their families in coffins. Their families must choose, either dead or alive. This is why I told you that you will never have a situation where Hamas just like voluntarily fucking kills a hostage for no reason whatsoever. Okay? I told you this since October 8th. It makes no sense for them. The only reason why they would do it, because they're not like fucking, regardless of the way that like they're presented as like barbarian rapist monsters, they obviously have a fucking like a line of logic here in the violence that they dish out. Okay? The ultimate goal of taking the hostages is leverage. This is not the ultimate goal of taking hostages. The ultimate goal of taking the hostages is leverage. If Benjamin Netanyahu, when there is literally a fucking ceasefire proposal on the table for 3 goddamn months that the American government actually put together, that the United Nations voted for, okay, and Benjamin Netanyahu is still like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, and then they try to militarily extract some of these hostages, yes, they are going to increase the pressure by doing this. It is brutal. It is barbaric, certainly, but there is a logical reason for it, okay? Do you understand? Analysis is not justification. I'm not saying that at all, but this is the ultimate goal here. But Hamas uses women and children as shields, or am I wrong? No, you're wrong. That's just a lie that Israel tells all the time as they shoot through everything. They do not make distinctions. They shoot through the Israeli hostages. They don't give a fuck. Yeah. You're engaging in diplomatic negotiations and Israel sends in military commandos to try and free the hostages behind the back of that diplomacy. What the fuck do people expect to happen? Yeah, I mean, this is straight up. I mean, pretty basic stuff. You see it even in movies. You know what I mean? Don't defend this. Still murder them, though. Don't defend this fucked up logic. I don't think you understand this. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Okay? They did. Okay? They did. They murdered them. They murdered them because the alternative is for them to be free through the ceasefire negotiation. This is a reality that many Israelis, hundreds of thousands of them that took to the fucking streets, also recognize. So I don't know why you are in the United States of America refusing to reckon with that reality. If there was no alternative, if there was no ceasefire negotiation on the fucking table and they were doing that, then yes, you're right. It's fucking slaughter. It's butchering. Okay? It is still brutal. It is, what they're doing is still brutal, by the way. Obviously, murder is brutal. Kidnapping is brutal. And the hostage freeing operations cost the lives of hundreds of Palestinians. Yeah, exactly. The reason why they spelled out why they changed their policies because of the Nusayrat operation in June that killed hundreds of Palestinians, by the way, in an effort to extract a couple Israelis militarily. They killed hundreds of Palestinians with airstrikes. So they were like, all right, if you do that, we're responding in kind. You have to understand. If I hold a hostage and say, don't take another step or I will kill the hostage, just give me back my hostage, and the other person takes a step forward and ignore the easy solution, can you blame them for sticking to their word? It's called leverage for a reason. Exactly. They have to prove that there are stakes and cause. We are a year into the genocide and still having to explain that killing civilians is a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, people don't care about it at this point. Warhawks like you So murdering 6 is okay with you as long as they have a reason. While you're defending murder, you psycho. Typical though, but Hasan said they have a reason, it's okay. Warhawks like you justify murder as long as it's your team. Disgusting. Lol, as long as they have a reason, it's okay. Lamau, evil cope. I never said it was okay. I'm simply telling you who is at fault here. Okay? And I even gave you an alternative to understand if there was no ceasefire deal on the table. Okay? And if they just simply kidnapped these people and we're just killing them voluntarily for funsies, then yes, they would be brutal, barbaric psychopaths who are operating with only one interest. Don't say fuck off. Try to understand. We're two human beings having a conversation here. I'm offering you the dignity. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm trying to explain to you, hopefully, hoping that there is like a human inside of your fucking mind that will understand when we're having a person-to-person dialogue here. Instead, you went fuck off and you called me a weirdo. Please, weirdo, condescending LA cunt. What was condescending about what I just said? I'm trying to have a conversation with you and you're just flinging shit at me. Who's the condescending guy, you think? Me or you? Yeah, we're warhawks because we want a ceasefire. Typical. Anyway, one day you will understand. You will, if, if you see the day, I suspect, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be lying about your position that you held on to at this point in time. You'll be like, oh yeah, I was always in support of the liberation of the Palestinian people. I thought it was unconscionable what Israel was doing. Today, we know what you're saying. Tomorrow, you'll change your attitude. It's usually how it works in history. But once again, okay? Once again, understand, Israelis in Israel know who to blame for this. So why are you personally blaming something else? Do you feel like this is productive? Does it make you feel better? Because this is just basically reiterating, why don't you blame Hamas? Why don't you condemn Hamas? Or why don't you tell Hamas to release the hostages? That's all you're doing. This is unproductive. Anyway. You know that those 6 people are dead because you chose to live in Southern California, you asshole? Yeah. I have a hard time believing that's a real person. No, that's definitely a real person. There's a lot of people. You blaming the 6 dead now? Ha ha ha. It's their fault, fucking weirdo. I mean, this person is barely a person. Like, I think that they barely have, like, sentience. They're failing to demonstrate, like, basic competence. Because, like I said, people in Israel know who is at fault here. There has been a well-established hostage release, ceasefire negotiation that's been in play for months at this point. And Benjamin Netanyahu is directly at fault for maintaining a occupation in Gaza, wanting to maintain a military occupation of Gaza and continuing this war, continuing this genocide. And that is precisely the reason why these hostages were executed instead of being released. Like, 3 of the 6 hostages were directly named in the first round of the hostage swap negotiations. They would have been free by now. All 6 of them most likely would have been free by now if Benjamin Netanyahu conceded to supposedly what the United States of America claimed was the Israeli ceasefire negotiation, the 3-phase negotiation. Anyway, you're right. Hamas is at fault for murdering them. You're a fucking weirdo for defending them, but typical anti-Semites, probably why the Democrats kick you out of the DNC. Brother, none of the things that you're saying in here are actually working. I'm just letting you know. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I'm probably done at this point. We'll keep you in the chat as a pet. You know, hopefully you'll get that attention that you never got from your family that caused you to be such an unhappy person who is flinging shit desperately in the midst of a genocide, refusing to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth and just like arguing with whatever the fuck image you've presented in your head that makes it more easy for you, that makes it a more favorable position for you to argue against. You know, good luck on that. You know, you'll get the attention that you desperately crave here so that we can help you avoid the much more devastating end that you are desperately moving away from, or desperately trying to move away from. All right. Did you see the map Netanyahu showed during the presser? I did. Let's continue. Yes, both sides are wrong. Is there taking hostages? Why are we justifying taking hostages? Fuck this logic, lol. There is no justification for taking hostages. But if you think that it's like Hamas taking hostages on their own for no fucking particular reason, then you're completely oblivious to the 76-year occupation and apartheid that has taken place and the 10,000 hostages that are Palestinian in Israeli prisons right now under permanent detention, 99% conviction rate in military tribunals, completely ridiculous. There are 10,000 Palestinians that are currently being held hostage. This was one of the demands made by the Palestinian Resistance Group in a last-ditch desperate effort to ensure that they could release some of these people at the very least. It is now clear that any attempt to try to physically rescue the hostages will literally lead to their deaths. Negotiations are the only way. Yeah. No, that's precisely why they did this. That's precisely why they changed their policy in general. That's it. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird for people to be like, oh, dude, you're fucking anti-Semite, when the position that I have reiterated here is unironically no different than the family members, the American Israeli mother and father that released a statement on who is at fault here, where they quite literally pointed to Benjamin fucking Netanyahu, and not only pointed to Benjamin Netanyahu, but the exact policy positions that he has used in an effort to refuse to concede on this ceasefire deal. They literally, so you're calling them anti-Semitic at that point. But of course, for many people, it doesn't matter. For many people, they're just in here to shit stir. They're in here to fucking flung shit. This is the exact same principle behind like in October 7 or October 8, claiming that like this was directly in the hands of the Israeli government, saying that was considered the most unimaginable anti-Semitic sentiment ever, even though the Haaretz editorial board had that exact same opinion, and many other Israelis had that exact same opinion, but it didn't matter at the time. If you said that, you're anti-Semitic. It's just, again, people that refuse to listen. People have a certain narrative that they want to continue advocating for. That's it. Netanyahu's been citing Biden's ironclad support of him as the reason he does not have to work harder to get a hostage deal. Incredibly rich of Biden to complain about the consequences of his own actions. Yeah. Netanyahu told Gallant in the cabinet meeting, I want to release all of our hostages no less than you. I fought for the release of the hostages no less than you. And I was injured in one of those operations. I believe that the path I am leading, what is this? I am leading of standing firm is the right path. Since we passed the last cabinet meeting, a super justified decision regarding the Philadelphia corridor, now we cancel it? After the terrible murder of our hostages, such a step will send a dangerous message to Hamas and will lead to more concessions that will endanger Israel's security, like making a complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, to allow the smuggling of hostages in Sinai and from there to Iran. I said yes to the Americans on May 27th and August 16th. There is flexibility in the negotiations, but not on the principle of the Philadelphia corridor, which is Hamas's lifeline. After the U.S. agreed, why do you object? Do you understand what's going on now? Do you get it? The terrorists thought bringing back Israeli citizens will force Israel to use their words to negotiate because they thought Israel would give a damn. They were wrong. Israeli society gives a shit. Netanyahu unironically said that the strikers are doing Hamas's bidding, echoing what you said yesterday. I told you that he was going to say that. I'm just glad that we saw it in action on CNN, saying that before, outflanking Benjamin Netanyahu, pretty much. Yoav Gallant on the UK arms restrictions. Deeply disheartened to learn of the sanctions placed by the UK government on export licenses to Israel's defense establishment. This comes at a time when we fight a war on 7 different fronts, a war that was launched by a savage terrorist organization unprovoked, at a time when we mourn 6 hostages who were executed in cold blood by Hamas inside tunnels in Gaza, at a time when we fight to bring 101 hostages home. I stand by our troops and security agencies, working with immense courage, professionalism, and moral values. We remain committed to defending the state of Israel and her people. Again, the more this kind of pressure increases, the more Israel refuses to recognize that they are a pariah state that everyone else notices is behaving in this unhinged manner. Do you understand? This is going to push Israel firmly and firmly, further and further into a firm commitment to nationalism, fascism. They're already there, okay? 7 fronts, unprovoked. Hilarious. Before leaving the White House to Pittsburgh, Biden was asked by Nadia Bilbazi to comment on Netanyahu's remarks about the Philadelphia corridor. We're still negotiating the final hostage and ceasefire deal proposal. We are not negotiating with him. Like I said, I already read this earlier. He said he's not negotiating with Netanyahu. He's negotiating with Egypt and Qatar. It doesn't fucking matter, though, because until he says, hey, guess what? UK just sanctioned weapons, okay? No more export licenses to Israel's defense establishment. We are going to follow suit. What the fuck is Israel to do? When America says no more weapons to Israel, this is why I told you. When America says no more weapons to Israel, Israel has to go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What do you want from me? Okay? This is what I keep reiterating over and over again. Here's the cousin of a dead hostage on CNN, by the way. Let's hear what he had to say before people accuse me further and further of being like anti-Semitic or some shit.
Going to use it for his media circus. That he's going to go with his media circus and say that he apologized to us. So we didn't want to be a part of this horrible charade. He is going to use the murder of my cousin in order to keep the war going, and this is exactly it. I'm furious. You know, it's exactly what he does. It's his responsibility that they were killed. He could have saved them, and if he just chose what most of the Israelis wanted, what most of the world wants, which is to bring the hostages home and get a ceasefire.
Hosbarists are on top of it today. You laugh at rape victims. Just saw the video. Even though your community got it removed from Reddit, ghoulish and weird as fuck. Get help, says Blinken Blimpin. He's back. He's black. He's back. Come on, dog. Come on, brother. Be real, okay? No, don't ban him. By the way, I want him to keep chirping in the chat. Just let him do all of his fucking little commentary in the chat. Bro left to do hate research. I know. Got him removed from Reddit. I know. It's also ridiculous. I'm 100% sure he's a Unit 8200 employee. No, he's not. He's just a fucking idiot who's doing this for free. Yeah, my community is not necessarily on Reddit. Let's be real.
Hostages die in captivity. This is exactly what's going to happen. And Hamas is a terror organization. We blame him for the killing, the execution of the hostages, of course. But on the other side, I want to see a nation that believes in life and not another politician who believes that he can use death as a weapon. The death of civilian hostages as a
What is this? This guy said Israel should follow suit and kill all of their... What is going on today? Whoa. A lot of people are getting banned before I can even read their fucking insane commentary. Hold on, chatters. Israel should follow suit and kill all the Palestinian hostages. I agree with Hasan. There should be consequences. How are there supposed to be? Tens of thousands seems like a good start. Well, Israel has already killed tens of thousands of people in its offensive genocide. 40,000 to be exact. It seems like you forgot about that number. Now you're talking about the 10,000 people that are currently detained in Israeli facilities. They are killing them. They're raping them to death. And then the Israeli society, in certain instances, is actually celebrating that achievement as though it's actually something that is permissible. And not only that, but also they made one of the fucking main rapists a television personality after it came out that he was one of the main rapists. So, you know, they're already doing that.
I have informed my right honourable friend, the Business and Trade Secretary, and he is therefore today announcing the suspension of around 30 from a total of approximately 350 to Israel as required under the Export Controls Act. These include equipment that we assess is for use in the current conflict in Gaza, such as important components which go into military aircraft, including fighter aircraft, helicopters and drones, as well as items which facilitate ground targeting. And for transparency, this government is publishing a summary of our assessment.
Well, that was David Lammy speaking in the last few minutes. We'll talk to our political correspondent live here on the programme here after.